So hello everyone, I hope you can hear me. I lost my voice a few days ago and it didn't stop me from coming here and giving a talk, of course. But at some point I might have to stop talking. So let's hope that I can speak for 25 minutes at least. So today I'm going to share my experience about how to start a new job or a new team or, well, anywhere. And a few words about myself. I came here from Berlin. I'm living and working in Germany for already 7 years. And right now I'm working as an associate director of engineering at Native Instruments in Berlin. And in my free time, I'm organizing a Pi Berlin meetup. So if you happen to be in Berlin by any chance, just come by or maybe give a talk. And I have around 11 years of software development. In general, different languages, but most of them are Python. So you can see how happy I am. But I'm actually managing people for also quite a few years. So I wanted to share my experience as a manager and also as a developer on how to be successful in a new job and maybe how to find a new job and how to build a new team. So many things at once. So let's start. I hope we are recording just the screen, so just raise a hand if you are starting a new job or going to start soon a new job, or just, yeah. No one is gonna know, just the hands? Okay. Okay, thank you. So I'm just thinking if this is something that you're going to use right away, or maybe you're thinking to search for a job. And actually, I can share quite a few advices that you can use at the moment at any stage of your interview process or the work. So when I was starting a new job, I was thinking always where to start. And this is basically my inspiration. A lot of people told me about the 90 days, and I was really interested, what is the 90 days and why is it so important and why the 90 days? Maybe it's a 30 for somebody, maybe for me it's a 1 day or a week or a year for some people. So I looked in internet and I read a few articles, and of course, I read the book, the original one, The 90 Days. It's a great book, and as you can see, a lot of stickers over there. So this is my own copy. I stickered a lot of pages, basically almost everything in the book. I really loved every single page. And it's super useful no matter if you are going to be a manager or a developer or a QA, it doesn't matter. The questions in the book and different strategies are super helpful. So I, first of all, highly recommend you to read that book. And I'm going to tell you a few tricks from the book and also from my own experience based on the first 90 days. So the basic principles, there are quite a few. First is to prepare yourself. So the preparation is the most important before you start the job, not even at the job, but even before you join the company. And I'm gonna tell more in details every single step. So the first one, prepare yourself. Then try to learn everything possible when you are at the job and take the notes. Then, let's say you already started, there are quite a few one-on-ones with the colleagues, you already learned something, and it doesn't really matter if you started a new job or you joined a new team. The process is exactly the same because you're learning something new. And if you're even building your own team, you still need to go through all the steps. Then at every point in time, actually, you need to adapt the strategy depending on what you learned. And of course, when you start something new, you need to win something. You need to show that you are capable of what they are expecting you to be capable of, and to just help the company as much as you can. And build your own team. This is not only about the management, but also about you being a team member. When you are a team member, you can build the team as much as everyone else. So you can influence the team as much as everyone else. And this is super powerful because many things are not actually something that's set in stone. Everything is a culture in the team. So every single member, not only the manager or a team lead or a tech lead, is supposed to take care of the culture of the team, but every single member. That's why this is super important for everyone. And the next one, the last but not least, to accelerate everyone. So when you are starting a new job or a new team or anything new, you are a newcomer. You can see all the things from a different perspective, not from the inside of the company, not from the point of view of people who are there doing the same thing over and over again for many years, but actually from the point of view of the outsider. So you can question a few things. You can also bring a few wins, even not knowing anything, by just asking the right questions. So let's start from the start. Preparing for the new job. For me, the preparation starts before even I start the job. So it starts during the interview process. No matter how long the interview process or how desirable the job is, I usually take a lot of notes and I ask a lot of questions. The same questions from different people and also from different companies. And I check if they match, actually. So if it's one company and then you ask the same question over and over again, like how they feel, what are the challenges, like different questions that matter to me personally. And if different people answer different questions, it depends on what they answer. Could be a good sign, maybe it's super interesting for different people in different ways, or could be a bad sign, maybe people are confused. Maybe processes are not the same across different departments, especially if you ask, for example, a developer and the product owner, and they have different answers about the company and about the vision and about the challenges. Maybe they're not even aligned. So in this case, if the answers are different, you need to think, what do you want? Do you want to bring the structure into this company? Is it something that you're passionate about? Or you want to come to the company where there is a structure and you want to have that structure? So then those questions and the answers would basically help you to align on your own expectations from the job. And then, expectations, of course. I already mentioned that the expectations are super important. So expectations, not only yours are important, but also from the others. So here we're talking about the others' expectations of your manager, of the people around you. So if you are a manager, you obviously have a manager who manages you. And expectations are super different. For example, the manager expects you to do ABC, and the team expects you to do DEF. Can you fulfill those two? I mean, two different expectations. If not, you need to make it clear that this is something that you're not going to do, or this is something that you're passionate about, so you can take both jobs at the same time, basically. And when you already started, and then maybe you can even find a way to improve the expectations, so to make them even clear from your point of view what you're going to do. And as a team member, the same thing. If you are a developer and you found a new job, you need to check what is expected from you. Do they expect you to do to take care of CI/CD? Do they expect you to do DevOps stuff? If it's something that they expect, you need to make sure that you are happy to do that. So as a next step, I really like this quote from the same book that I already mentioned. Recruiting is like a romance and employment is like a marriage. So when you are interviewing or being interviewed, it's like a romance. You're meeting somebody who is going to be your employer or the employee, and of course, they're talking about the nice things, but all the not nice things not always are there on the table. And when you start, you might find a few moments that were hidden, also as a manager and as an employee. And it's a lot of work, basically, from both sides. Maybe interview was not that deep, or maybe you thought, oh, that's not important, but in the end, it would be super important for you. So you always need to accelerate your learning, you always need to ask a lot of questions when you come in from different people to know different perspectives about the past of the company and the team, also about the present, so the current state, where you are, and the future, where we are going to be. If you are a manager and you got the team already pre-existing that you didn't hire, that's the hardest one, because then you didn't choose the people, so you don't know how to work with them, and there might be some already past experience that didn't go well, so then you need to also overcome this, and you need to learn on the way. If you are an employee and you start questioning a lot of things, it's also tricky. So if you start questioning every single decision, that would be very annoying for your colleagues because you question their decisions because they already made a decision and for them it's obvious why they made this or that decision. So just find the right balance with the questions, with the correct questions. But it's really nice if you ask those questions and take the notes, as many notes as you can actually, because you will forget everything. After a few days, maybe. It's a lot of information, and the first week I usually do a lot of one-on-ones with everyone around the team, organization, people that I'm going to work with, just to take the notes. So, the next step. Let's say you already took the notes, all the notes, you interviewed all the people, you talked with everyone. What do? When you start, you kind of have the strategy, because you had an interview, you asked the manager what are the expectations, and I usually do a call or a one-on-one or a walk with the manager when I start or before I start, so either the first day or before even the first day, so I can create my strategy before the first day. And then it doesn't always match, because then on the learning part, you learn a lot, and it could be so much different from what you expected. So then you need to adapt the strategy. And this is a very nice framework about the themes of the challenges and then different approaches on how to adapt your strategy. This is also mentioned in the book, and you can also see the slides. I found the same copy which was developed before, and the strategy is super important. But you can change it on the way. Like, it's not set in stone. Nothing is set in stone. You need to adapt on the go every time when you see something. And the roadmap, it's super important. So the first thing I usually do, I ask if there is a roadmap. And usually the answer is no, there is none. I don't know why. So people keep everything in their heads. They love that. I don't know. It's so convenient to have everything in their heads, not shared with anyone. Sometimes people use different types of the roadmaps. Sometimes they use the sticky notes, sometimes they use some reports, sometimes they use Jira. There is also a roadmap functionality. I find it super easy to use Miro boards, because it's a lot of interactions you can share with anyone, and then people can move the roadmap on the way. So of course, roadmap is not set in stone. It's something that we project how it's going to be, but then we don't know how it's going to be developed. So we would see that over time. And the fun part, how to secure early wins. Let's say you already started the job, and then you took the notes, and then you need to still win something. How to do so? My favorite part is about decision making. I heard so many times that you can make decisions only after you learn a lot about the company, about the team, and everything. So you should delay a decision for at least about 6 weeks. I heard that around. Or about a month. That was the minimum to learn everything. But the thing is that when I started my job as a head of engineering, that was so much fun. I had to take decisions in the first days. They came to me and they asked me, so what do we do? I don't know. I mean, I cannot say what to do, and we had a presentation to the C-level at the end of the month, which was even more fun, and I started not on the first, I started on the second week of the month, so I literally had 2 weeks to prepare a presentation for a vision of the entire year for the team, without any roadmaps. That was fun, but actually, my takeaway of this is that if you don't take a decision, it's also a decision. It's a decision to delay. You are entitled to this decision to delay things, to take and then see the outcomes, or, well, anything is a decision. So what I usually do, I ask people around. So I cannot take decision on my own because I don't know the company, I don't know the situation that we are in. But I can ask experts, people who are there, what do they think? How do they feel with that decision? Or what do they see as a decision? And then we can take a collective decision. I would prefer to take a decision and then see how it goes instead of not taking a one. I saw quite a few companies, there were new people joining and then they were hesitant to, I don't know, pick a framework. And then we had so much delay and then in the end they still had to take a decision and they had no clue in the same way as in the beginning. So just my advice, just take that decision. Ask the people around. And the next one, introduce small improvements. So if you're a developer, you can see small things. For example, you clone the code, and then you see, there's no README. That's funny. How do they work? Like, how do they install the things? As you are a new person, you know how to install the things. Well, not yet, but then you will know, and then you can document that, and it would be huge. It would be actually huge, because if no one knows how to install the things, then how do they even share the repos? It's just an example. So there are small things that you can improve on early days, on the first week, on the first days. The next one is analyzing what would be your next priority. How to do that? Interesting. You need to ask your manager what is the priority. And then it depends. If you agree with that, because maybe you don't agree, and then you need to speak up, you need to tell your manager, so, well, you know what, I can see that this is not the most important thing, and this could be also a big win from your side that you tackle the issue, and then you speak up early. And also one more thing, one step at a time. So if you bring many changes as a manager to the team or as an employee, you suggest too many changes, you cannot measure which ones worked and which ones not. Although the big changes, you can count a huge change and then you need to do it once, because if you want to change drastically the team and you're the manager, you have that power to suggest a big change, and then if the team is up for that, then I would suggest not to do huge changes many times. So if I see that there are a few things to be fixed, I just do them all at once as one big change. So, for example, there is no ways of working set up. There is no roadmap. There is no, I don't know, stand-up, let's say. So what do? I suggest the team, how about we try a different way of working? And then I package all the things together. And that would be one big change. And then you can improve it later on, one step at a time. Because if you bring those changes one by one, every week or every month, that would be too much. So then either a huge one and then small steps, or super tiny steps. And a very interesting thing that I really liked, once I attended the domain-driven design workshop, and they showed how to build a team based on the core domains. You can also read that in the source, and it really worked. If you base the teams on the domains, so then they can have some interaction, but then they will deliver a bit of a different features. And in this way, you can actually model the size of the team, also how many teams you have. You can model the current situation, the future situation. So it's really helpful for the overview. As an employee, you can suggest this kind of modeling. As a manager, you can use that as a tool. Accelerate everyone. That's also very interesting. I mean, everything is interesting, but accelerating everyone could be many things. So the things to focus on as a manager is defining the roles and responsibilities, providing all the support that the team members might need, and this is also for the employees and the team members, and the structured processes. As a team member or a manager, you can suggest different structured processes, you can suggest improvements, and this would help everyone to be more efficient in their daily life. So I hope that you enjoyed and that you heard everything. And I would love to hear your feedback. You can reach me out through the social media, or you can come by at PyBerlin and say hi. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Anastasia. We have 2 questions in Slido. If you have more questions, feel free to keep them coming. Are there some more coming? So the first question is, any suggestions for the second 90 days? So when the first 90 days are done?
Oh, that's fun. Enjoy your work. No, actually, I mean, you don't have to stop on the 90 days. It's just the 90 days are to focus on all the things that I mentioned. And the other 90 days is just the usual work. You just focus on everything that I mentioned every day.
All right. Do you think that the first 90 days when joining in an existing company, either as a manager or IC, are really so important, or is it mostly anxiety to achieve quickly?
It's always anxiety, I would say. Like when you change something, it's always something new. When you are a manager or an employee, you change even roles within one team. You need to change the way how you think. For example, if you are a developer and then you became a manager, you need to switch your thinking a bit. You need to think a bit bigger on bigger topics, and then you need to think more on how to achieve the goals. So it's always some onboarding. Maybe it's not going to be 90 days because you already know a lot about the company if you are inside. Maybe it's going to be 30 days, but yes, it is also important.
And how do you customize the 90-day plan for each engineer? So do you write it together, or do you have a template that depends on team role or seniority?
That's a good one. I don't do that for people. I do it for myself, and I share it for you yourself to do your own 90 days. So for people as a manager, we have different check-ins. I collect different feedbacks. I ask about the people, and then I usually do more one-on-ones. Like every week, I check in with people. How do they feel about the work? Anything I can help them with? Anything that they are stuck? And then I ask around. So we do create the personal development plans, but for the first 90 days, that's not so important because they learn a lot and they don't know where they want to go. So it's a bit too early to create a plan for them. Onboarding, yes, we have the onboarding, and it does have a lot of steps, but that's a different story.
Okay, and what do you do if things start to go awry in the first 90 days? Start to go bad?
Can happen, yes. I go and fix it.
Okay, simple answer. And what's the worst critical problem you faced in team management?
Oh, a lot of problems. No roadmaps, no vision. When the team is doing something, but they are not really sure what is going to come out of it. So like they are doing work for doing work. Like they're delivering some features, but there is no product vision, for example. And I faced it in so many companies, like they delivered some features, but there was no overall vision of what the product is going to be.
All right, thank you. The next question is, how do you handle different priorities, for example, when having a roadmap?
We have actually joined roadmap, which includes engineering roadmap and the product roadmap. So we work as a cross-functional team at this current company. And I'm super proud of that. But other teams, they are not working always like that. Like in my past as well, I didn't work like that all the time. So we had to prioritize the things with the product people. So we had to show the product people to get their buy-in for the engineering improvements. And it depends how you show. If you show that this is super critical and you need to also have some skills for that to show why is it critical, to show the real impact. If you don't do that, what happens? And I usually show quite a few options of the roadmap, and then we decide together. Either we delay some things and then improve on the long run, and we have the better quality of the code, or we do it fast and then we focus on the refactoring for really long time. And usually people decide, okay, maybe let's do it a nice way instead of delaying the things after half a year of bad code.
All right, the next question is, do you have any advice about merging two different teams, one you've chosen and the one you've not chosen as a manager?
I didn't have that. I usually hired people within the team. Yeah, defining the roles and responsibilities, the ways of working all together as one big team, the joint team, that would be super helpful. Within the new people as well, they need to know who does what and then what to expect from whom.
Okay. The next question is, what's your opinion on straightforwardly solving the defined tasks instead of risking to run behind an early win without completely understanding a complete strategy?
Well, if you don't know the complete strategy, you might take a wrong path in your journey into the early wins. So the early wins, I would suggest to do the early wins, not just in sake of doing them, but for improving something within the team. So it's not for you to show up, oh, I'm so cool, because, I want to show up, but for the company. Like, you're working for a company, you are there for a reason to improve something, to bring something good. So if you see something that you can improve, then improve. If you don't see anything, everything works perfectly, then just work. And that would be also good.
You also talked about securing early success. Do you think there could be a risk of overperforming and setting yourself for a burnout in the long run?
Don't do that, I would say. Well, if you overwork, I'm usually always against of overwork. So you do it in your own pace. You don't have to do extra stretch or extra hours for securing the early wins. So if you, for example, see that there is something not right and you want to investigate that, then I would suggest to go to somebody who defines the scope of work and then ask for the time for it. So then you don't need to use your own time to secure the early wins, but then you still can perform the early wins because you spotted something.
All right. And last question here is how to become a better manager.
You can read a book about that.
Or listen to the talk again. Are there any more questions? We have 3 more minutes left. So if you have any more questions, feel free to raise your hand or yes?
Anastasia, out of curiosity, anxiety is born when you live more on the past and on the future instead of focusing on the present. And when asking questions in your new endeavor, you mentioned that you need to balance out questions about the past, the present, and the future. How did you do that in practice in order not to get anxious about what was forthcoming for you?
So I just learned. Learning is not anxiety for me. It's just learning. I just put notes in my notebook and that's it. And then I decide what would be the future for the team together with the team. So to get the best out of the decision making, you need to get the team with you always. Like, the most important thing is the team, because they are the people who are writing the code. I'm not writing the code, but I'm helping them to be more efficient. So this is my goal. I am there for people, and I would focus all the questions on basically how they worked, like what worked, what didn't, like how do they see the future of the company, to understand the big picture, if they do have the big picture or they don't. And then if I have the decision, then I will show them, so this is my idea, what do you think about that? So it's not like, this is what we're going to do now. It's going to be a team sort of decision. You need to have a buy-in for any changes as well. So if you focus on the past, that's not a good idea as well. Like you need to focus on the future always, like not even the present, but the future where we are going to. I hope that this answers the question.
All right, thanks, Anastasia.